In the previous video, we discussed the difference between Old Tartary and New Tartary. We also explained where to place Old Tartary on the timeline and which great civilizations preceded and followed it. Now let's finally dive into Old Tartary itself. In this video, I will refer to it simply as Tartary, but it always means Old Tartary. Approximately 100,000 years ago, the first primitive human tribes united into the first cities and kingdoms. The world looked completely different back then, and even the continents were in different positions. Some scientists will tell you that this is impossible, that the movement of continents takes millions of years. However, scientists who have accepted new findings about previous civilizations confirm that some continents have changed their positions, climates, and appearances over the past 100,000 years, with some even disappearing under the sea. One of the cities that laid the foundation for a great kingdom was a city on the shore of a now non-existent inland sea, known to the inhabitants of the time as Tartary. We, however, know it as Tartaria, named after the sea Tartarus. This sea was located in the middle of what is now Siberia. Present-day Yakutsk would have been right in the middle of this sea. Back then, Siberia had a completely different climate. The entire Asian continent was further south, and the whole area was ideal for agriculture. In fact, it was the most fertile land in the world. Remember, this was before the Ice Age, so the soil was not frozen, and there was no permafrost. These ideal agricultural conditions allowed for rapid population growth in Tartary, along with its wealth and power. Around 90,000 years ago, this small city-state became a vast empire, stretching from present-day Portugal to present-day Japan. The language spoken by the inhabitants of Tartary would be unrecognizable to us today. However, it is a proto-language from which all current languages in the world originate. It would be most similar to today's Ainu, the language of the indigenous people of the Japanese islands, or Basque. The runic script used by the Tartars remains undeciphered to this day, but it is very likely that it evolved into the runic script of the Vikings and Turkic peoples. This script variant is still used by the Yakuts in Siberia. The spiritual life of the ancient Tartars and their connection to the supernatural and other dimensions is entirely beyond our understanding. While the Tartars could not travel between universes or dimensions, they likely communicated with them and drew untold wisdom from them. This enabled them to manipulate light, control positive or negative vibrations, and harness the energy of the universe, including dark matter, for their benefit. Even before they reached their greatest territorial extent, they managed to utilize free energy from the universe, which was then freely and abundantly available throughout their empire. It was for the purpose of obtaining this free cosmic energy that they built gigantic pyramids all over the world, many of which have survived to this day. Unfortunately, these pyramids are the only remnants of this powerful civilization that remain with us. The Tartars also likely established relationships with civilizations that existed on this earth before humans. It is widely believed today that reptilian beings were enemies of humanity, but a small part of them, as well as a portion of the human race that preceded the development of Homo sapiens, allied with humanity and even helped it achieve greatness. For them, the spiritual world was as real as the material world is for us today. At the height of their expansion, Tartary encompassed all of Asia, Europe, North Africa, and half of North America. However, the wisdom of the Tartars began to decline over time. They forgot much knowledge and severed their connections with other dimensions and universes. The supernatural became something unnatural and feared, leading them to close all communication portals. These portals can still occasionally be found today. There were indeed many, and each was made from a single piece of stone. In the end, the inhabitants of Tartary lost so much wisdom that their own technology began to seem like magic to them. They could no longer create powerful energy collectors, portals, or energy directors. They did not understand the old inventions and were afraid of them. Energy became increasingly scarce, and the numerous population could no longer be sustained by the declining agriculture. Around 60,000 years ago, the power of old Tartary completely collapsed. Some inhabitants of Tartary, driven from their homeland by hunger, established their own empire on an island in the middle of the Indian Ocean, known as Lemuria, which soon became a great power. The Lemurians largely descended into barbarism, enslaving the primitive human tribes that still roamed the world, and built a powerful maritime empire along the coasts of Asia, Australia, and Africa. Old Tartary no longer had the strength to resist Lemuria, and many of its coastal colonies, e.g., Sita, present-day Mogadishu, Mahatesa, present-day Zanzibar, Pikanshan, present-day Singapore, fell into Lemurian hands. Eventually, famine broke out in Tartary, and many cities, including the capital, were abandoned. This marked the definitive end of humanity's connection with the spiritual. In an attempt to revive agriculture, the Tartarians tried to build giant irrigation canals, but unsuccessfully. Moreover, in their efforts, they completely dried up the Tartar Sea. The remnants of this sea are today's Aral Sea, Caspian Sea, Lake Balkhash, and Lake Baikal. Old Tartary descended into civil war, during which it fragmented into three parts: the eastern part, Huan, centered in Pakashi, modern-day Vladivostok; the western part, Suomi/Suomian Empire, centered in Amtahele, modern-day Arkhangelsk; and the southern part, known as Pahatohi. Pahatohi became a maritime power that waged intense wars with Lemuria and founded many cities in present-day Indonesia, which the jungle has since reclaimed. The descendants of Pahatohi lived in the Indonesian rainforests until relatively recently, and medieval Indonesians knew them as Lanal, treacherous and fierce pirates. Relations between Huan and the Suomi Empire continually deteriorated, with both states constantly arming themselves despite their people starving. The Great War, known as the First Great Suffering, broke out about 50,000 years ago. Both states used such destructive weapons that they shook the very foundations of the world. Continents shifted to approximately their current positions. Lemuria completely submerged, and the Lemurians survived only in colonies along the coasts of Africa, Asia, and Australia. Evidence of the massive destruction included the vast volcanic activity that created the extensive volcanic region now known as the Siberian Traps. After this devastating conflict, the Earth's axis changed, the planet cooled, and the Ice Age began. Most of the surviving humans froze to death, and the remaining people abandoned civilization. They now survived as hunters and gatherers in the frozen and barren wilderness, completely unaware of their glorious past. And so ends the story of the illustrious Old Tartary. The next time someone tries to tell you that Tartary existed 200 years ago, remind them that they are likely referring to New Tartary, not Old Tartary, the mightiest and most renowned civilization that ever existed. In the next video, we will take a break from wars and explore the incredible wealth of the 7 golden cities. That's the end of this video. If you want to know more about mysteries of the universe, you can buy our latest book, The Gemstone Codex, 51 Mystical and Magical Gemstones. Link in description. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content. Leave a comment below, and don't forget to hit the bell icon to get notified about our latest uploads. See you in the next one.